We'll stay in Nairobi now, and with us this hour is Nicodemus Minde, a researcher with the East Africa Peace and Security Governance Program at the Institute of Security Studies. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you very much.
So the president described the protest as treasonous, and then he went on to add this warning. Listen to this.
I hereby put on notice the planners, financiers, orchestrators, and abettors of violence and anarchy, that the security infrastructure established to protect our republic and its sovereignty will be deployed to secure the country and restore normalcy.
He's certainly taking a very hard line against these protests, which is understandable enough given the violence that occurred, but they've been going on for, what, a week or more now. They've spread to other cities, and yet Ruto did not address the moment, did not take this moment, rather, to address the cause of the outrage, the tax hikes themselves, and the suffering that people are going through.
Sure, I think that was one of the main takeaways from the president's speech, which went on a long, almost tirade in terms of speaking about the criminality of protesters who are actually very peaceful, but again, leaving out the very important issue, which is the finance bill. And of course, we also believe that he did not also give a way out, like the way forward, in terms of what next after the finance bill. So that was something that was really lacking from the president's statement, which wasn't quite received well by many Kenyans.
And many in Kenya are struggling right now. Prices have surged recently. Basic cost of living is incredibly high. These taxes certainly will not help that. So with that in mind, here's the Archbishop of Kisumu, Maurice Mukumba. Listen to this.
The government must not overtax its citizens, and it should not be in denial about its intended excessive taxation. The country is bleeding, and therefore we invite the government to reflect on this matter with the seriousness it deserves.
All this seems to be made a lot worse because when he was campaigning for office, the president, I think he promised to reduce taxes, and now they've increased. So what sort of concern is being paid, not necessarily by this government, by other officials, to the demonstrators and what they say are tax increases that will simply make their lives so much harder?
Actually, the president really campaigned on a platform of taking care of the needs of the very poor people. In fact, his campaign mantra was to deal with the poor and hustlers, from his own words. But you can see as the time goes by, most of these taxes that he has introduced over the years have actually been very punitive, and they have actually targeted essential commodities such as bread, oil, fuel, which has really made life very difficult for the local citizens. So that has been actually the big outcry of many of these protesters. And again, the young protesters also protesting because most of the taxes that have been introduced touch on them directly. And you might find that most of them are unemployed, are very well educated, seeking ways in which they can be able to enhance their lives and their livelihoods. And it has been very difficult. And this has been the bone of contention in this whole saga. And of course, added to this is the fact that most of these politicians are living very lavishly with very opulent lives. And of course, there's a lot of misappropriation of funds, and of course, a lot of corruption in the country. So this has actually really been the big concern of most of these protesting young citizens and the wider public at large.
These measures will raise about $2 billion a year for the government in revenue, which will be used to reduce the budget deficit. They will partly comply with an IMF program. You can see the percentages of GDP there. It seems President Ruto is caught between the protesters and the IMF, which I guess, isn't a good place to be right now for him.
Sure, that's actually a dilemma. In fact, much of the finance bill, which is actually in compliance with the budget allocations for 2024-2025, are actually geared towards, supporting external debt which Kenya owes in terms of external debt from big international multinational institutions. So part of the financing of this budget for the next financial year is to raise these taxes. But of course, you find that is already taxing, the citizens already taxed too much. And the taxes that have been introduced are actually on essential things, which are imported commodities, which Kenya still relies heavily on imported commodities such as fuel and other electronics and other forms of imported material. So this is actually the burden or the dilemma that President Ruto finds himself in. And that is why you find that it is actually very evident that he has not been able to really address this finance bill, even in the statement that he gave last night, which again leaves a lot of room for worry and speculation as to what the country will do in the next few days.
Nicodemus Minde in Nairobi, thank you, sir. We appreciate your time.
So much for having me.
Pleasure.